Hi everyone, welcome to Paper Wishes Thursday vlog, and I am Lene Gehrig. Today I have Daisy May design stamps and cutting dies to show you. They are really adorable and I can't wait to walk you through how I made this card. This particular card I used this adorable birdhouse. This one is called the Blue Tit Friend Stamps, and it's got a little birdhouse and a little sign and the adorable little bird, and I think the only thing from this stamps that I didn't use was a little picket fence, but that's really cute too. And then it has a corresponding die set. You don't have to cut all of these little pieces out, which when I was making this card last night I was really happy to have. And then also I used this Bloom and Grow stamp set with its corresponding cutting die, and finally from the tag die set, I used this largest tag. So let me show you how I did this. I used the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend pens, which are wonderful. They're my new favorite tool. The first thing I did is I used, for the background, you've got this lovely white barnwood, and I used Country Chic paper pack from hot off the press. And then I die cut from sort of this linen paper right here, also from Country Chic, the largest tag cutting die. Inked the edges of that brown and then glued that to the back. And then I went ahead and stamped the birdhouse and the little bird and the little sign, and then directly on the sign I just stamped the greeting and colored those with the Spectrum Noir pens as well. Then I went ahead and stamped and die cut the Bloom and Grow image, and then I went ahead and I cut that image right about here, and then I glued half of it on this side of the birdhouse and the other half here, and then just added some little foam taped areas to give it some dimension. So as you can see, used quite a bit of stamps and dies on this. Wanted to really make it like a really special card for this one. Let me show you what else we've got. Oh, this daffodil basket. Look at that, and cutting die set. And I don't have a sample card for this one, but if you check under Daffodil Basket stamps on our website, the Paper Wishes website, there's a really great project that Daisy May did for this one. And finally, this card, I also used the Tri-Blends on this. I used the light pink and the coral pens for this one. This one is called, I'll grab this down. This one is called the Peony stamp set, and I love this because it's got the jar. That's just one of my favorite things, is a canning jar. And it's also got the corresponding dies, and then also this circular die set, which has sort of this torn edge or a decal edge around the outside. So as you can see here, I went ahead and I did the coral, lacy coral paper pack from hot off the press, and then I cut one of the circles also from one of the darker papers in that set. And then I did some coloring here on the jar and also on all the peonies. And I want to show you another alternative design for this particular set. So I'm going to start out with putting this card together and showing you some coloring techniques. So for my background, I'm going to do something completely different, which was the Dotted Duos paper pack number 2, and the light pink is one of my favorites. And then I've got the peonies here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little coloring to kind of give you an idea of how this was put together. And this particular shade is the Citrus Green blend, and I'm just going to do a little bit here on the stems. Not going to color all of them, but just want to give you the general idea of how really quickly this can go together, especially when using these pens, which, as I mentioned, are my favorite thing. Right? Do some leaves. And I'm just doing the lightest color here on this particular pen, because as if you recall, the Tri-Blend has a light, a mid, and a dark range, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and go for the dark range, and I'm going to add some dark down the center here. And then I'm going to do the light range and just blend that in. That's what I love about these pens, is everything is right there, all in one pen, and you don't have to kind of search for them. Okay, so that gives you an idea there. And then I'm going to take, this one is the pale pink blend. I'm going to start out, I always like to start with the dark. Okay, and we're going to do some pale pink on one of these peonies, and I always like to just add some dark around the line areas on the stamps and sort of at the base of each petal. And then as I get to the center, I'm just sort of making that darker. And then I'm going to skip right to the light. And as I'm coloring, I'm just pulling that dark color, I'm just coloring right into that. And as you can see, it just starts to blend. Like that. And just as long as you're touching that blend, that dark shade, and just blending that right into the light shade, it's just really sort of an effortless thing that's happening. And that's why I love these pens. If you feel like you're insecure about your coloring techniques and stuff, I am not a great colorer, and these pens have just made me feel a little bit more secure in that. Go. All right, so the last one I'm going to show you how to do is I went ahead and did, there's a single image on that stamp set right here, this particular guy, and I went ahead and I colored that one with the coral pen, okay? And I went ahead and I did the dark, so I'm going to show you right here on this one. So I went ahead and did coral, dark coral here, along all the lines and on the inside part of the petals. Okay. Then went ahead and switched to the light. And there is a lovely mid color here, which I'll go ahead and show you. I'm just not using it so much on these peonies, but it's a little darker than I want. That's the mid color. But as you can see, I like to lighten it up considerably. I'm going to go back to the light and just coloring right into that dark and that mid color and just blending it out with the light, sort of dragging that dark color right in there. Okay, you see how I was doing that? So what I did with this particular one is I put a little foam tape on the back of that, some foam tape squares, and I'm just going to align the images, put that right there. All right, then I'm going to take my background, I'm going to kind of do a little thing like that where it's going to be lying down this time. So I'm also going to show you how to do the water technique on this one. So for this one, I like to use the regular Spectrum Noir pens, and these are the turquoise color. And it's just because that they get, they have the lighter shades, which I really appreciate. So this was the second from the lightest one in this pack. And what I do here is I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges and the top part here and the bottom. Okay, basically all those lines. All right, then we're going to color our water. Oops, forgot to do the top part of the water. Okay, all right, so then we're going to take, this is the chisel tip. I like this part when you're covering large areas. And for this, we're just doing a lighter shade of this turquoise. So it's just going to give us that appearance of water in our jar. Okay. Cut. All right, now I'm going to take, this is 3D crystal lacquer, and this is wonderful stuff, and you just squeeze it onto your project. Oops, I didn't bring a paintbrush, so I'm just going to use my fingertip. And what you do is you just rub this around, and it gives the appearance now that you have water in your vase, because it dries a little thicker and it has a really glossy finish. And I highly recommend using a paintbrush instead of your finger because it is very sticky. But we're just kind of improvising. Okay, here we go. All right, so this usually, when I put on a thin amount of that, it just takes a few minutes to dry to a tackiness. And I'm gonna put this together. First thing I'm gonna do is, okay, so we're assuming I've colored my entire peony stamp, okay? So then I'm going to put it here. Oops, I got out of order. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put this here, my little vase, and then I'm going to put my peonies right here overlapping, but I'm going to run off the bottom edge, okay? Just like that. I'm going to take, this is going to be tricky now because I've got a wet vase. Turn that over. I recommend you wait until your vase dries, but we're not gonna take the time to do that. Okay, so I just cut my peonies off even with the bottom. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue here. I'm just using the Cosmic Shimmer Specialist glue, which I love. Attach my card rather quickly here. All right, this, okay. And then I've got the little bow for the jar, a little knotted ribbon. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, so if you could imagine that this is colored like that, and then you can just put it together in a whole new way. And with that little water detail in the vase, I thought that was a really fun and unique little touch there. So thanks for joining me today. I encourage you to check out the Daisy May Design stamps and cutting dies. We have a great money saver right now, which there are links for that on the blog page. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you check out the links to both paperwishes.com as well as the links to the money saver for these great stamps and dies. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next week.